21st century resources. These resources, we all know that our resources are being mainly on books we collected, whatever we were learning. It's through our knowledge, what we have accumulated for so many years like that. But now, resources are mainly on chat GTP. Children are just entering in and they are collecting the informations. And the mostly the things is scrubbed is that when we are Googling, the main thing, the word that if it is, I'm a science teacher, so I'll go into that, it's cells. Okay. If I put a cell, it gives me a information on related to all the cells. But according to the age group and the need, we have to segregate it. This is what all the teachers are doing. Yes, children are doing that. No, they just randomly go and view and they will be thinking that every information in that is a true. So selecting exactly what is the correct information and segregating is our teacher's resource. We are going to do it from the Google part. All teachers here, all of us are very good with Google and everything. But the children, what they do is that they'll just go click and they'll say, teacher, it was there. And why you are not saying that to us? Even the pictures, neurons, when we are talking about, they'll say the color you are showing is from some particular site and you are showing us. This makes us a clear picture that they are aware of using the gadgets very well and they are getting informations in a different way. So these resources, what can we use it? Everybody can see my sharing?
No, ma'am, screen is not visible.
Okay.
I'm just stop share and reshare it.
Yes, sir.
No, also you can mute everyone. There's a lot of disturbance. You can mute everyone.
I'm just muting everyone.
First mark
okay, we can listen. We all can use the chat box to say what is the resource of education for education apart from book and apart from us notes. Sir, Gladys, sir, can you please mute as everybody has been muted, please? I'm getting some answers in the chat box. Please, teachers, please mute yourself. We are getting backdrop disturbance. Newly joining people, please. Sir, we are going to start the activity that what is the resources apart from the books and the knowledge we gain. Can we list some things?
I'll also be happy, ma'am.
Excuse me, teachers, please. You are unmuting yourself and you are doing this. So this one,
Ma'am, just click on participants. Then there will be an option mute all. Then there will be a button there, allow participants to unmute themselves. So just to click on that, then they will not be able to unmute. Otherwise,
yes,
this
sir, I have done that, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. So now this is what we are going to see here is that the design to reinforce the learning. The learning can be mainly on what is related. So these are the some of the blogs and tips they have been using very clearly to do the education training materials. How to train ourselves to do this material things. Let us first we know all our writing works. Okay, writing was how should be the writing work to be done? Can anyone say me in the chat box how the writing work should be crispy and understandable to make a resource? Hand-on experience. Everyone can use the chat box, please. Point to discussion, point discussion through pictorial representation. Okay, now I'll stop my screen. So sharing, we will do just with one particular word. We will start executing ourselves to do the resources. Okay, thank you so much for the chat. Okay, all please on your cameras. It's a request to on your cameras. Okay, the particular word I'm going to take here is 10. Okay, this 10 English teachers, you can say how you will be relating to the resource of 10. Okay, I am going to say this as a, if I'm going to take this particular word as a 10, I will be giving 10 objects. Okay, very fine. 10 fingers. Ariel ma'am is giving me 10 fingers. Okay. T-E-N. If I take it, one vowel stands there and two consonants comes. Okay. If the word, what we will be doing here is in the whiteboard, the work. The main thing, TEN, word building can we do? This usually children play this. The word building we will be doing is with the TEN. In this TEN, mainly E is a vowel. Words, can you create some words only with the vowels of each and every word? I will type it in the chat box, TEN, and you have to start making the words with E. Ears, okay. Egg. So here also again E comes. Engine, okay. I, electric. Elephant, okay. A comes and I comes. Can we start the game with I and A? I and A. Ice. India. Presently, children need only like this interactions. That is what in NEP also they have said that there should be a collaboration between the children and us. So in the first or in the middle of the 10 minutes when we are taking a class, we can use like this tiny things to only to do our word building in English. When we are doing this one, different words and dictionary usage has been done. This dictionary usage is not restricted at any age. It is for so many years we are doing it. But the final resource, what we will be doing here is the main thing is that cultivating the knowledge of the children to do their own in the seeking of developing the culture, developing the vocabulary and grammatic usages like this. We will be using here. The second subject we will be very fond of going is mathematics. The same 10. Can anyone say with a 10 with the mathematics? The subject now changes from English to mathematics. So I will say first 10 tens are identity, 10 degree, ten ones, still more, our room measures is 10 into 10 square feet. In geometry, 10 degree has come, skipping count by 10. Apart from that, anything? Multiples of 10? Even number, 5 even numbers counts as 10. Anything else? Can we go on? The resource creation here, what I wanted to mention in the mathematical part is that the children who are feeling very sick with mathematics, no, their main problem is that they are not understanding how the maths equations formulas are interrelated. There are main, yes, square and roots. They are thinking that even one of our student, what happened is that they were doing the polynomials. Okay, x square, x power 4 minus 12, x and y was there. She didn't understand the missing term should be understood. For that, they are doing thinking that it is something very great. And she said, I don't know to do this or do it. This particularly, they have to be related to each and everything. That formula is related, and that formula equal to 0 equation only makes them to understand the LHS and RHS. But the children nowadays, they are just thinking that this formula is only used for this particular thing, and they omit it to integrate with any part. In maths, this is a very little drawback they are having, that all maths teachers know this, that everything is related, but the resources which they are going is only guides, and they are understanding from there. They are not thinking that they have only the basic formulas are repeated, but in the different forms. This is a main default in the resource of the children who are in a maths default, as we are saying. That it has been even analyzed here. A group of 10 to 15 batches we made, and they know that addition, subtraction and multiplication and division are all the operations, but addition and multiplication are together. They didn't understand this, and they didn't understand subtraction and division will be together. They were thinking that this is all different norms, and the teachers who were teaching, I am presently in Nigeria, so I have to say about here only, that teachers were teaching them that, okay, you are doing this, means this has to come, but they didn't say the integration method here. And some of the school teachers who are using here, they just use the method. That has been a bigger issue here. The next thing, if the same 10, I'm going to shift it to the subject 10 of science. Can anybody say of science or social? Both. Can you interrelate it with 10 in science or social? 10 plants, 10 states, 10 countries. Okay. 10 food items, landforms, states, apart from state, in science, we are not getting, we are getting only small things. Okay. So in science, what we are reverse. Thank you so much for everyone. In science, how we are relating is that the items as objects or items, how they are integrated to each and everything. Okay. If I'm going to show them the soil types, we are talking from 6th standard to 10th standard. We are talking about the plants, plant parts, everything. But the 10 macronutrients, very good. The only one thing the children are here to or to create the resources that they have to be left on the roofs of the soil to do the plantation or hydroponics methods. They know hydroponics. What is this? Hydroponics is a water plant method. Is it that how they are going to use? It has to be done by the teacher in the school so that they will understand that okay, hydroponics is also a cultivational method. They are just taking this, just something is going on with hydroponics. That's all. This is all we have. The way we take them is going to be the resource. Okay, I'm going to say you that, come on, we will go for the outdoor for plantation. First, 1 or 2 children will be, anyhow, the project works has been shared with everyone. 2 children will be very enthused to do everything and they are going. Is the resource created there? The resource creation there, it doesn't happen anything. It shows that who is only the very interested person. The secondly is that the person who is at the beyond, he will be thinking of something to do, but he is not able to do that. Why? Because his hesitation is made or he is not having a better knowledge in that. So these children are going to be executed to the tools, either the shovel, the digging part, the activity part of doing something. Here, the present scenario of thing is we can't show how to do cultivation in the 3D or 2D model. It has to be assessed by them. That is what in science we do, that germination we ask them to do by themselves. They are trying to grow the plants and all. But mainly the resource created by the children is recorded and it is kept in our school resource rooms. Will it be useful for the children? Yes, they will. It is useful for the children at only in the 2 points. One, who is scoring the good marks. Second, who is involved in it. What about the other children who are just being a part of the team? Can any teacher give us an idea why this is happening between the group of people? You can please unmute yourself and talk. Any teacher can say your views, please. Unmute yourself and say. Any science teachers or social teachers, please? Yes, Parvati ma'am. Pavitra ma'am, can you please unmute and say your view on this? Yeah, in languages also we are facing this, no? They just go for something and they see and come.
Hello,
We
ma'am.
go, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm a maths teacher.
Yes,
We've
ma'am.
noticed this happening in mathematics also. Like, I think mostly some of the students are very keen to do mathematics, and
Yes.
some of them are just not interested. They are playful. Maybe they think they'll get the marks in any ways, you know. Maybe that kind of attitude some students do have. So that
Every
could be
subject we face this, ma'am. We are
yes.
facing this in every
And
subject.
we are perplexed at times, like how to manage this. You know, how to motivate them and how to make them understand that they're supposed to do it. That has always been a problem.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. This is also my same problem we had here. We have here. Any other teacher? Okay. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Now what we are going to see is that, okay, creativity. We will take as a creativity as a first topic to do this workshop. Okay. There are pedagogy we will follow here, and the creativity what we'll be using. Let me start with TED Talk. So any TED Talk on particular topic, how it has to be approached. If I'm going to take a topic of cooking, is into science, I'm nutrients, I'm going to take how I'm going to give them the resources and how the resource is going to reflect on the children on daily basis. We have to see, be very clear in that. This is said to be pushing them to the edge series. This particular trick is said to be students changes from the lower level to the higher level. That is known as change makers. They have to be to create their own values. It cannot be copied or anything has to be done by them. Empower the student to organize themselves. It can take a day. It can take more less than a day or two or even a week. And our schedule is that we have to complete in a particular time span as we have a syllabus and we are running in with that one. Here, the method of Finland method, what they have done is that they asked if the person is not ready within 1 or 2 days, the time expansion has to be done for him. The time expansion gives him, he observes his whole environment, his co-students, what the teacher is doing, how the teacher is replicating to them, everything he observes, and even a minute change which he attains to come forward to do is the biggest resource he is going to have. Watering the, cleaning your room. It was done in Finland. Best example was that full dirty was done by all the papers, everything was there. In Japanese schools, the children clean, but in Finland schools, nannies clean that. What happened is that the nanny was absent for 2 or 3 days. The class become very clumsy. The teacher is the class teacher or a particular in charge continued the classes without saying any word. But she taught them in a different way that cleanliness. She took a topic of cleanliness. She didn't insist the children to clean, to keep your environment, these, that. But she took 2 days of class on cleanliness with all the dust on it, everything. Children were also listening. The third day, automatically one particular child was impacted by this and he said he is not feeling fine. Why? Because the parents asked it, because my classroom is not clean. Okay, your classroom is not clean means what happened? You know, immediately it was to the organization level. They said that yes, each and everyone in this floor is in charge for cleaning and making it. So it is your own resource of valuable resource. You have to create it. The other child who was behind him, he was saying he was cleaning only his own particular place. He didn't clean everywhere. He started cleaning. His education was given to him that, or an instruction was given to him, clean your place and use it. Is it right? is it right to do, or is it right to teach between the child to do only keep your environment clean? Please. But seeing that the other child started, now the classroom was clean within 10 minutes. Each and everybody started cleaning their own places. The classroom started clean. In 10 minutes, the whole classroom was clean, including the teacher's desk. Now in 21st century, the main thing happens is that the children, they think that they have their own responsibility and they know everything. That is the biggest thing we are having. Even getting the educational knowledge or disciplinary knowledge, they think that their particular thing should be very clear. Their understanding should be very clear. If they understand only, they will listen to us. If they don't listen, means there is a drawback between the teachers, that we are with 30 people in that 10 is okay, the 10 is medium, and 10, the last 10 is going to be a focus. In that 10 focus, the resource what we are going to create here is that either in a game method, in a displaying method. Nowadays, so many YouTubes are giving them more educations. They are just consuming that because the pictorial learners understand very clearly. In our classroom, what we will be doing is that to create this 10% of the people, just do a demo sessions by ourselves. As we are teachers, we know very clearly that which topic will be harder, which topic will be less informative, which will be can be read by themselves. All the segregations we know. So the difficult topics will be just taken as a demo session. If I'm going to take this glass, okay, this is a glass. In this glass, what all I can do is that it is treated as a raw material, silicon, I'll be saying. This silicon is according to the age group also, we have to segregate them. This glass will be just filled with the water for the younger children. This glass can be set for mathematics, half, quarter, and the fraction part we can use it. Apart from that, you can say the painting artworks can be done. The children will be more interested with the demo session than any other session, because in demo session, their eyes, their ears, and their brain is going to be very active than the theory session to them. How many of you accept with me in this? Apart from this, we also have two different theories that making a models. That is we are getting it very clearly with the rapid sold method, skeleton or any dice, anything. But are we creating the resources? Yes. Just I very found wherever I go and see this particular things, like these things will be seen. Okay. This particular thing, I am going to use it for different things of concepts. I'm going to create the resource with this in a different things. Okay. Colors, dimensions. Apart from that, I'm going to use the 3D designs in this, and the material used, front and back, and the dimensions I'm going to use. In this, like this, if we are going to create our resources, it takes us a time. But if we are going to create that 10% of children who are not keenly interested in that particular topic will create it. So now our work is just using this particular thing. Can we create some resource on our own subjects? Let us all join in the chat to do this. First, I'll start with the cloth material. Just we are going to develop a resource here. It's a cloth. Can any teacher, we can develop apart from this anything? We have to create the resource with this particular thing. As it is a workshop, I want every teacher to take part. This is the cloth. Okay. This is going to be shown to the students. Each and every subject has to be related to this. Can be created.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you can say, ma'am.
Yes, because I am taking English, so the students give a few sentences about the clothes, about the picture which you draw it, and the colors.
Okay, ma'am.
And I think math teacher also explain the shape
Shapes.
and
Yeah.
the dimension.
Okay. Math circles. Aeroplane with it and fly it. Okay. Shapes, area and perimeter. Angles. Identify color, shapes. One of the student of mine said it is a 3D printing. The technology used in this is 3D printing. So they have gained that knowledge for this. It is a flow color. They are using the technology words flow color to say that the layers. Okay. There are different layers consumed. This is one particular layer. Can you everyone see there is a masculine layer? This gives a 3D print coloring. And the inside one is a cotton cloth and the backside is a material of what to say, but we call it here as a rubber cloth because it's used for t-shirts. The children nowadays are looking this with the cartoonistic effort and the technology. This technology they are even saying the technology used in this, the main character who comes with this mask, everything are said to be. So we will be starting it with the creation of that. Okay, there is a helmet man, which cartoon it comes from, which important series. Nowadays web series also has been very clearly suiting into the children. They are starting with the names of the persons very first and they are just moving into different stories. Here we got ancient mask. Yes, ancient mask is there. So the creation, what the children are thinking is that we are relating it to everything, but they want to start this creations only from their known level. Their known level is that from the vision, how they see, then they move on into the deeper views. If you just start it like this with a particular thing, first they will be clearly saying that it is from which cartoon, which type, or the which is with the identity for them. This is how the students are starting now. So that is what the technology we are going to interrupt is that all the YouTubes, everyone is doing YouTubes nowadays, and 3D methods we are doing. Apart from that, there are so many gadgets for the children to give. There is one particular technology now they are using is that visual technology we are using. In this visual technology, what happens is that the other side of the image or the portion is being seen by the children. That is what the visual, because they are very clear. If this is a layer, we all are talking about this particular part, the outer surface when we are reading. But that particular, the children in 21st century are talking about the other side. They are looking for, if air is present here, what is present here? If it is going to be in a darker surface, what is going to be in the inner surface? What is its color? Is there any other thing down than this? This is how our creation of a resource should be linked to the children, that the both pros and cons should be clubbed and we have to be moving with that. Any doubts or anybody wants to share, please? Hello, any teachers? Please share your own ideas. Dr. Vola, please can you on your video? No doubts. Please, teachers, me to describe your imagination after watching it. Yes, they are going to use only the normal ways or the household names they will be using there. And the description, what they will be doing is that mainly if I'm going to say about the Tom and Jerry. Okay, this Tom and Jerry thing, we know it is a creative one, but the children, they take it for the motion. I have used it. What I have done is that the motion between the Tom and the Jerry is going to be in a shorter length and it is in a longer length. The levels that we are using here, there. Apart from that, I have used Tom and Jerry for the mass also. How the Tom is higher and the shorter is the cherry means the cherry is very keen that he can enter into any space. Okay, if he suits here, that is what air and cherry are very frequent to move in. But Tom is having a shape, that particular shape stops him, and he is related to something of heavy mass, and cherry is of lesser mass. These two things makes the children to understand matter, and the matters always in chemistry we are teaching matters or different shapes, different things. But the imagination things is that according to their thinking is that if I'm having 10 kg and 5 kg, it is normally said. But the matter when we are talking about, I used to take a jaggery. That jaggery is a solid, but when it is added with the liquid, it and heat is, that is heat, thermal heat is given to them, automatically it becomes a liquid. And this liquid state is also can be having a suspension down, and the Tyndall effect is there, because when I put a torch on the top, automatically there is going to be a Tyndall effect. Can you please hold on 1 minute? I'll bring a live example and show you. Only 1 minute, please.
meeting
Here, this is the one. Okay, this is the oil. Okay, we have extracted an oil. In this oil, I have taken this as a matter. Okay, in this one, the liquid and the suspension you can see. I will use my torch to show them the Tyndall effect. Excuse me, please. See here, when they are using this, they can see a Tyndall effect. In this Tyndall effect, what happens is that the colloids, the children are very easy to see the colloids appearing in this, the movements up and downs, and this particular place. Excuse me, OPP, OAS.
meeting
Please, can you mute? A5. this is how the practically they are the visions. Instead of explaining all the terms in the description way, we can, or in the animated way, the realistic. Even I have used the wheat flour mixed with that, and I have showed them. They were very easy to understand this particular things. Okay, is it so going to be the this separation level? The time taken is also going to be. The children are very keen in this understanding. Any other thing? Yes, draw and make a paper mask like this and take. Let's dance. Yeah, very clear. We can do.
ಹೆಂಗೆ ಸ್ವಿಚ್ ಆಫ್ ಮಾಡ ಅಂದಿಲ್ ಬರಸಿಕ್ಲ ಅದ ನಂಬಿಕೆಂಡೇ ಇರ್ಬೇಕಾ
Any one of your ideas also can be shared, please. Please, any teachers? Ma'am, Subhashini ma'am, can you please on your mic and come out, please?
Yes, ma'am. Hello.
Yeah. Okay, ma'am.
I'm audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible. Can you say your views? T-shirt
Yeah.
painting.
Ma'am, we can show a simulation of, suppose if I want to teach them some concepts related to litmus or some concept related to chemistry, where we want to show, just like as you said, Tyndall effect. We
Yes,
can
ma'am.
show a video session and then we can start with the explanation so that they can clearly understand the concepts.
Yes, ma'am. Very true.
And even there is a OLAP which is created by Amartha Vishwapedam.
Okay.
Through that they are given some experiments also. So before going to the real experiment, we can show the demo thing to understand the concepts first, and then we can deal with the students with the real thing so that they can easily understand the principle and they can easily note down the observations, and they can also implement it when they want to apply the same concepts.
Yes, they are. Once I faced this difficulty, ma'am, because they saw all that YouTubes. They are known with that. When before we start the session or the particular topic, they say we know that. This is for particular percentage of children who are very good in that. Our focus should be not on them, no.
Yeah.
As it should be on the other part of the children who are thinking that yes, whatever teacher is teaching me is going to be that same. There are like that students also who are this particularly. What happens is that this makes the feeling that they are ahead of them, and that ahead makes the children to be mentally, and there is a depression created in them. It is particularly in higher level of session.
Especially when you are dealing with 7th, 8th, 9th, 10 students. These
I'm dealing
simulations
10 and
really-
11 means it is mainly on this. They usually say that he learned, he know, so he is talking. I don't know what I will do.
Correct. Okay, ma'am.
Any others view, please? Any other subject?
I think so.
Political science or any others, because this is a workshop, we want to share our views and our difficulties. Okay, I'm going to introduce you to people to our author of here from Nigeria. He is a very good author. In maximum, he has taken into a stage play during his college time, and I met him very in 10 to 15 days before. He is Mr. Dr. Wola. Sir, can you please on your camera? I'll make you as a host. And I welcome him here because he is a very good creative writer, and his resources are well known here, and is a doctorate in literature of English. Sir, can you please on your camera? His books, very known books, and they have created more than 50 authors I met with him. All were creating a very fine and cultural dependent of writings they were having. And these writings were an impact to the children that they made a resource that to know about yourself. They first made that know yourself first, know about your things. Then they started moving into the educational part in here. And here he belongs to a particular culture, that in that culture he has made the children to understand the importance and how the life of that particular people will be there. I welcome him again because he has not on his camera, please.
Okay, I'm trying to do that.
Okay,
You can continue. I'll join you shortly.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. I'll make you a host so that it will not be a problem.
Hello?
Yes, sir. I'm making you as a host, so it will not be a problem.
Yes, exactly. I don't know what's wrong this afternoon. Everything here just seems not really
Okay,
getting
so you
itself
can
right.
continue. When it comes, let us see. No issues.
Okay.
Here are a group of Indian teachers waiting for your speech. And here all teachers belongs to one particular curriculum, that is CBSE and NCERT. We are here. And first we were discussing about the resource creations of 21st century. Sir, it's over to you. You can continue.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I sincerely appreciate my being around. While I'm still trying to see how to make the camera to come up, I think what happened is that a lot of materials trying to pop up, and I was trying to fix that before we got into the meeting, but I would like to proceed so that we'll not waste much time, since I know quite well that a lot of you would have been waiting. Firstly, I want to sincerely appreciate Madam for giving me the opportunity to speak to everyone here today. I sincerely appreciate it, and I look forward to a better relationship. Also, all the teachers, both male, female, all and sundry, that are in the meeting today. I also want to appreciate each one of you for coming and being part of this program. Actually, what I'm here to discuss with you is something that after today, you might take it up, and it might be $1 billion worth investment for you, and likewise, whatever you're doing, depending on how you can carry on with whatever you're doing actually. Because teaching, I know quite well, it's not an easy profession, because a lot of people, they don't want to come into teaching because they feel that quite well, it has no money. There's no money in teaching. So when you ask the children, what exactly do you want to be? They tell you, I want to be a doctor. I want to be I want to be a lawyer. I want to be this. I want to be that. They don't want to be teachers because they feel that teachers are not really rich, or teachers cannot really fly first class and be one of the best. But it is not so. So I'm going to tell you something new or something quite unique before we go into what we have to do for today, because I'll be telling you about teaching children creative writing. Teaching children creative writing. And firstly, as a teacher, this aspect of teaching is a little bit quite different from the normal kind of teachings, that we normally have. Creative writing has a lot to do with creativity. And that creativity itself would really determine a lot of things. I don't know, there is a voice there. I don't know if anybody, we should be able to mute
Please, can
the
all mute?
voices.
Hey, non-mute.
Thank you so much, sir. Sorry for the
Okay.
disturbance. You can continue.
Yes, exactly. So back to what I'm saying, the teaching children creative writing. Firstly, as a teacher, whether you're teaching mathematics, you're teaching English, whatever subject you're teaching, creative writing is quite important, because the creative writing is going to make you to be able to know how to be able to pass your message to these children, that they don't have this kind of adult ability to be able to learn a lot of other things. So for that reason, there are techniques that are supposed to be employed for you to be able to teach them, for them to be able to understand, and in the future, they can become writers as well, writers of different kinds. So when we're talking about writing, we're not talking completely about only creative writers. We're talking about writers generally in the society. And if you look at it, every society is as good as the kind of writers that they are producing. When you go into different parts of the world, you will hear Shakespeare, you will hear people like Shakespeare, you will hear like people like Sun Tzu, you hear even the longest epic in the world was written by an Indian monk who stayed in solitary for many years trying to compose them. So writers are mostly important to every society, because whatever the society is going to be, whatever the society is going to be, those writers are the ones that will take the message of the society out to the world, take them to other countries. So the writers are very important. Then the question is, how do we now make these children? How do we make our pupils from the beginning stage, for them to start appreciating as well, understanding what creativity is all about? When you move into the science world, you talk about creativity. You come to the art world, you talk about creativity. You come to the social sciences, you talk about creativity. There is nothing you want to see in this world. It's all about creativity. Even politics is creativity. Everything is creativity. So creative writing is a subject that everyone is expected to know while they are young, so that when they grow up, they'll be able to apply some of those things into different aspects of life. Now, the first story I'm going to tell you is a story of a statement. I know you would have met that statement in English, and the statement is about the geese that laid the golden egg. The geese that laid the golden egg. When we say the geese that laid the golden egg in English, we're referring to the Aesop fables about a particular hen. That hen, that's H-E-N, N. That hen is known to always produce one egg in a day. And the hen usually lay golden egg. So there is these two couples, husband and wife, they live together, and they had these geese that usually lay this egg once in a day. And so every day they had to wait for these particular geese to lay the egg so they could have the egg, and they'll go to the markets to sell it. So they'll be able to make more money. So at a point in time in their life, they now felt that, look, why is it that all the time we just have to wait for these geese to lay the egg for us to sell? Why not let us just take this particular geese, kill it, and let us open the tummy and remove all the eggs that are in it? Perhaps they are gold. We'll be able to now take it to the market in order to sell them off, and we make more money. So both husband and wife, they decided to conclude to do that. So when they did that, they killed that goose Unfortunately, when that goose was killed and the goose was opened up, they checked the tummy and there was nothing there. So they now look at it and said, oh, wow, we thought we were going to meet a lot of gold inside. Since these goose usually give birth to one egg in a day and the egg is a gold, so we thought we were going to meet a lot of gold inside, but unfortunately there was nothing inside. So that was how both of them returned back into penury. Now, this is a fable told by an English writer many years ago, known as Aesop. And what exactly is this fable trying to teach everyone? The fable is trying to teach everyone that, look, sometimes in life, you do not need to be in a rush, because when you're in a rush, you're going to harm yourself. And what you are supposed to make use of, in order for you to be great, you may destroy them. So that is exactly what Aesop is trying to teach them. But this particular fable was meant for children. In other words, to tell children that, look, life is all about process. You can't jump some processes of life. Anytime you make an attempt to do that, you're likely going to upset the apple cart. You're going to destroy everything, and nobody's going to have everything. Just like the husband and the wife, they ended up not having the goose again, the egg, the golden egg no more, just because they were impatient. They wanted to become so rich, they have to kill it. Now, the question there is that this, as short as this story may look, this story teaches the fact that you should be able to tell the children that, look, patience is important. Now, the subject of patience is what is taken up in that story. And everyone, even we that are the adults, we need to be patient as well, because if we are not patient, we may not be able to get a lot of things. So we need to be patient. So now this is how children are being molded. This is how children, the psychology, the brain of children, you try as much as possible to mold it. By reading this kind of story is far better, more reaching than when you start fighting or you start beating the child and say, yeah, look, you got to be patient, you got to be patient. And the child is saying, Mommy, I don't really understand. But when you read the story, you find something like that. So as a teacher, the greatest question is, what kind of creative method do you have in passing instructions to some of all these children or pupils to say, how do you go about that? The Aesop story told us more about this. Also, the second story I'm going to also take us to is Alice in the Wonderland. I know a lot of us who are good readers, you would have read about Alice in the Wonderland. Alice in the Wonderland is about the story of a girl known as Alice. And that story was written by Lewis Carroll in 1865. He's an English writer, and it's a children's book. It's a children's story book all over the world now. That book has sold more than 10 million pieces every year. The book keeps selling. And you'll be surprised that Lewis Carroll, who wrote that book, was a mathematics teacher. He was not even an English teacher. He was not even a literature teacher. He was a mathematics teacher. But the major thing was that Lewis was paying more attention to children, looking at the way the children they behave and things like that. So there was a daughter of one of his friends that went to the riverside, and he was also by the riverside, and he saw the way the little girl was playing. The name of the little girl was Alice. And he saw all these things. And when he got back home, he just felt that, look, I'm going to write a story about this girl, this small girl called Alice by the riverside. I'm going to write a story about her. So he started writing the story. And that is the story that today is known as Alice in a Wonderland. Alice in the Wonderland is a story now that has been adopted and also adapted into art, opera, music, board games, video games. what have you. But you now, you ask yourself, you have been a teacher and you've been with children, you've been with pupils all day long. So how have you been able to look at them and you also come up with your own story? Or don't you know that all the children in your class, all of them, there are also stories and different stories upon stories. So it's now left for you to be able to look at them and as well, and you come to a conclusion and said, okay, I'm going to write something. I'm going to write something. I can see this girl here. I can see that boy there. The way they are behaving in this class, there's a way that we should be able to write something in order for them to be able to change the way they go about those things. And everybody is going to appreciate that. Quite a great one. So in Alice in a Wonderland, written by this mathematics professor, later on that mathematics teacher became a professor there in Oxford in the 18th century, because the book was published in 1865. And as at today, the book has been able to gather billions when you talk about in terms of money. So these are the kind of things that when you come to a workshop like this, you are supposed to take back home when you're going home. The children at home and the ones in the school, all of them, you can come up with a storyline that is going to befit them. But when you look at this issue of creative writing, one of the major questions that you would ask is, okay, fine, creative writing, how do I really go about it in the first place? What do I do? Or how do I write it? And if you're talking about how you're going to write it, then let us see some of the things that you need to do in terms of maybe you want to write it. Number one is that you have to try as much as possible to understand how to create certain aspects of your stories. Those things that you've created and part of your stories will make it possible for your stories to be readable to the children. It's not all stories that children can read. In fact, if you write some stories that are not children friendly, if you publish it, a lot of schools, a lot of places and a lot of colleges, they may not allow it to have access or for children to be able to pick them. So for that reason, we need to be guided in the way we write stories when it comes to children's stories, especially when it comes to creative writing. So what are these things that we need to be guided with? Number one, we need to understand that when you're creating a character in creative writing, that character had to show that you're talking to children. The way you talk to children is quite different from the way you talk to an adult. For instance, one of the reasons why you see that children, they learn quickly is that children are not afraid of making mistakes, but we adults, we are always afraid of making mistakes. Children are not at all. So that's why when you hear like a child, when you say, stop it, a child will ask, it will repeat back and say, stop it. When you said, keep quiet, he said, keep quiet. He said, don't take it. He said, Mommy, don't take it. He said, chop. He says, chop. So there is this childish character of always trying to imitate and always trying to say something. So this kind of character, except you're able to understand the way the child character, the way the child character talks, the way the child character relates, you are not likely to be able to give a good character that can really attract a child to the reading. So as a result of that, we need to understand that. Also, the second part of it, when you're talking about this creative writing for children, is that you talk
Sir?
about the structure.
Excuse me, sir.
Hello.
Sorry for the interruption.
Okay.
Can you use the
Yeah.
whiteboard at least so that the points can be very clear?
Yeah, exactly. I moved to a tab And that tab, I removed it from the whole entire thing I was doing. So that's why I could not really get it right here.
Okay, sir.
But I don't know what you, okay, that's projecting my point you're talking about.
Yes, sir. Your points can be
Oh, so-
highlighted in the chat box or in the whiteboard so that it will be visible for everyone.
Okay, can see that.
Or if
So,
any files is
yeah.
there, if you give me, I can share it to them.
Okay, fine. Can you see me now on the chat bot, the chat box? I'm there
Yes,
right
sir.
now.
Yeah, you are in the chat. Yes, sir, we are able to see your chat.
Okay, fine. So, we talk about, I'm just talking about the characters now. The characters, in terms of the characters, I talked about ability to be able to imitate the children. And the second one had to do with the structure of the story, of which the way the story had to start, the middle of the story, and the end of the story. The third one is the narrative. When you talk about the narrative here, we're talking about the logic in the story, the logic in the story. Now, the logic in the story is what will make the story to be compelling. Whether the story is going to be interesting or not, it's going to be seen in the logic in the story. For instance, the Aesop fable, the goods that lay the golden egg, what it seeks is to show that short-term gain at the sacrifice of the long-term profits. People do make a lot of mistake about that. That is what the story is all about. Then the Alice in the Wonderland is about the story of this girl who got to the river, saw a white rabbit, then trying to go into it, then she fell into a deep hole. Then all of a sudden, she saw something that said, "Hit me." And when she ate it, she became so small, moved into the animal world. Then she was able to explore the animal world, meeting different animals such as the rabbit, the mouse, the dodo, the lorry, the eaglet, the duck, the poppy, the caterpillars, and a lot of them. So the character of Alice was able to explore what is happening there in the Wonderland. So such kind of a thing, it's riddled in logic, because his ability for Alice, being a girl and a child, to be able to go into the animal world and explore the world of the animals, and as well, she was able to make it back into life. So that automatically makes it very attractive and readable to children, because they want to see somebody like them. Some often, they don't really understand well when it comes to like talking like adults. They need somebody that be like them. So that is exactly what happened to Alice here. Then the last part of it is that there is something that we need to know. They call it the popular culture. Now, no matter the kind of story you're telling, you have to pay attention to the popular culture. The culture of 18th century is different from the culture of the 19th century. The culture of the 20th century is different from the culture of the 21st century. All this put together is going to determine the kind of culture that you're going to put in the story. So, and when all this is done, you put everything together, then you'll be able to have a character, a structure, likewise a narrative that is going to come down to the level of the children, and it will be able to be something that they could interpret. So from there, those are the one of. Okay, yes, I'm here to get questions from you from the chat box. If you want a question, you can ask me questions. So these are some of the areas that we need to work on in order to have a successful children literature. But next is the last part is, what do we do when we are writing children literature? What exactly do we do? What do we do when writing children literature? What do we do?
We look into the grammatic part and the theme, what we want to communicate to them.
Yeah, what do we do when writing children literature? Can we have somebody in the class to just
Yes, lot
tell
of
us
English
maybe
teachers
one?
are there.
What do we do when writing? Include pictures? Oh, good. Yes, including picture is one of it, but what kind of pictures? What kind of pictures? Because when you say including pictures, even in adult books, you do have pictures. You have the big encyclopedia, you have pictures there. So the question there is, what kind of pictures? Oh, okay, yeah, short sentences in relevance to pictures. Yes, I want that the person who said pictures, relevant pictures, right choice of words, illustration, colorful, okay. Okay, the person who wrote include pictures, I want you to come up and tell us what types of pictures, comic strip, your animated characterization is what pictures, yes. Yes, animation. But why do you think children feel comfortable with animated pictures? Why do you think children feel comfortable with animated pictures? Yes, visual communication and interesting. Yes, they connect well with pictures. Visual makes it easy to learn, yeah, imaginative and creative. Now, okay, yes, I can see that I'm really having a very wonderful class here, a class that really, yeah, you people sound very, very quite informed. But now, outside the issue of the picture, then what about the issue of action? What about the issue of action in the text, creating the text for the children? Because it seems that action should be more for the adults, but action seems to be more for life. Everything in life without action. Okay, yeah, that's true. Action is going to really help the understanding. Another one, subtle actions. Okay, yeah, subtle actions, such as values like friendship and honesty. Well, values such like friendship and honesty should go under the themes, such age relevant actions. Now, actions. I want us to pay attention more to these actions. The reason being that it's easier for family, friends, school time, auditory level and imaginary. Yeah. That's true. Now let's see about action. Action. How do we measure? How do we measure action?
It is
In
inbuilt within
children,
us.
yep. How do we measure action in children literature? How do we measure action in children literature? Yes, I'm waiting for somebody to respond to that. How do we measure action in children literature? Okay, now when I'm talking about action, for instance, action had to do with activities, daily movement. Yes, you're getting close to the point, daily movement. But I think action had to do with the activities in the text. Facial expressions, fantastic, yes. But facial expression can be under what we call the inaction. Emotion, gesture, yeah, emotion, gesture. Okay. Then can you call the inaction action? Can you call the inaction action? Different sounds, yep. Different sounds such as, different sounds such as, their tone and intonation, yeah. Crying, laughing, yeah. That's true. Crying, laughing, intonations. But now, how do you use words? To get, how do you use words to get intonation? Cite an example, please. Yes, modulation. Yes, modulation, voice modulation. That's you talking about the voice of the characters. Voice of the characters. Oh, punctuations. Oh, yeah, you see, the issue of punctuation is that when it comes to children literature, you have to be very careful when it comes to punctuations. And I think towards the end of the class, I would like us to discuss that part, the issue of punctuations, because there are different types of punctuations that you might not see in children text. In fact, for me, I feel that anybody who is trying to use some of these punctuations that I'm going to list now, okay, quote, stress and pause, quote, stress and pauses, rhyming words, fantastic rhyming words, yeah. They express a meaning without words, okay? Now let's take a look at what this other person wrote about punctuations. What are the types of punctuations you would not expect in children texts? What are the types of punctuations you would not expect in children text? Yeah. You know, we have a lot of punctuation marks that is being used for mostly adults, but often when you see people import it into children, you find it a little bit difficult to really relate to it. So what are those types of punctuations you will not expect in children text? Yes, waiting for response, please. Those type of punctuations you are not likely to see in children's text. Okay, we ought to use a colon. I guess basic punctuations are enough. Colons and semicolons, exclamation marks to express excitement. Question. Okay. Okay. What about things like this? What about things like this? Yeah. Talk about the dash, the hyphen. So these are not very too good for children. Yeah, in other words, i.e., yes, and the likes of them, abbreviation. So you have to avoid all these. Such punctuations have no connection with kids' words. Yeah, that's true. No connection at all with kids' words. So when you see writing being e.g., yeah, you don't even bring this at all, because I think it's mainly for the adults and not the children. You don't bring this at all. You don't bring this at all. Then there is another aspect in their writing known as the contrast. Use of contrast. Use of contrast. Somebody to respond to that? The use of contrast. The use of contrast. Okay. Yep. I think let us come back to the class proper now. We've been able to see some of the things that are expected. Like, for instance, the use of that contrast is that whenever you're writing a story for children, you want to tell them things that are good. You also have to try to tell them things that are bad. You want to tell them things that are lovely. You also have to try to tell them things that have some element of it in it. So there is always this dichotomy of moving from one point to the other, known as contrast in their writing. These contrasts are various ways of trying as much as possible to tell them what you want them to know. Because if you want them to know, for instance, you want to tell them that marriage, you want to tell them about marriage, then you first start telling them about people that are not married. So they would be able to understand what marriage is when you come back to marriage after you've spoken about people that are not married. So when you talk about riches, you can't tell them successful story about riches without first telling them about poverty, people that are poor. because it's either you are bringing two characters together that are contrastive. One is rich, one is poor. So the child is looking at, oh, what happens to the rich one? Oh, the rich one is fortunate, the poor one is unfortunate. So within the mind of the child, there's this contrast of, oh, so there's a rich person, there is a poor person, then which one do I want to be? Okay, I want to be rich. Oh, there is this wicked man, there is this good woman. Who do I want to be? I want to be the good woman. So if you don't make an attempt to contrast issues within children literature, it might be very difficult for you to be able to get into their psychology. And lastly, before I call it a day, I think I'm going to request to all participants to on cameras and please fill the Google form to send certificate, please. Okay. Lastly, before I'm going to go, let me introduce you that please, if you are a teacher and you want to write children literature successfully and creative writing, you have to try as much as possible to study some part of Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud psychoanalysis is an aspect of study in psychology that dealt with issues that had to do with the mind. And whatever kind of thing you write it, as long as it had to do with the children, you're dealing with the mind of these young people. And the mind is very, very difficult for anybody to engineer, not even children. For you to engineer the mind, you need to understand the way it works. In Sigmund Freud psychology, we call it the tripartite psyche, where you have the id, the ego, and the superego. The three of them are working unconsciously. The children, their own stage, depending on the age bracket, majority of them are just having what I can call, in some other term, we call it that the child's brain is empty. We call it tabula rasa. That is, the brain is empty. So the brain is waiting for things to be filled into it, for the child to be able to have an identity, for the child to be able to have an opinion and everything. So you don't have a bad adult or a good adult. What you have is a bad child that grew up to become a bad adult, or a good child that grew up to become a good adult. Because from the beginning, the social engineering of the mind of the child was not well taken care of. So the child could not really get that far. And this is one of the reasons why in most of our schools, it is strongly advised that children should be made to study or to read creative works, at least the one for their age, so that they would be able to imitate and understand some of all these things. So that's exactly, I'm going to call it a day here. I'm so very sorry for the camera, why the camera is not coming up. And I think I got the message very late. I was unable to prepare properly for it. I think I'll make do better for this next time. So, but I really want to appreciate everybody in the class. And Madam, thank you so much. Let me hand over back to you.
Sir, please, can you make me the host?
Okay. Sorry.
Yes, any questions or any views, please? All teachers here. So I like to thank all the teachers and for your patience, and the language teachers here were very interactive with Mr. Dr. Ola, and the session was very informative in the chat box itself. We were not able to do it in the share screen. The chat box itself, it was very informative. Thank you, Dr. Ola. We would like to hear from you for different terms of dramatic and poetic ways in the later sessions. Any teachers have any questions to sir, can please unmute yourself and do. Hope we had a hand-on experience that we will be doing in our writing work. He was giving us what should be the proper method to go in with. Any teachers have any doubts or any related to literature, you can ask him. He's very good in that. I'll try to post some of his books also. Yes, there is certificate. I have posted the link. Now also even I'll post the link. It is free. Once the meeting is run, after I receive all the forms, I'll just try to dispose within 10 to 15 or 1 hour. Please give me 1 hour time to receive your certificates in your mails. I again posted the Google form for the certificate. Ma'am, you want it in a, okay, let me try to share one of my PPTs also. So the links are there, and in our group also, we will be doing it. Is everyone able to see? Sorry, finally I could show you only the picture of him. And ma'am, this is a link which made us to go with the clear writing scripts. It gives us a very clear structure, step-by-step structures to create our resources.
Screen not visible, ma'am, yet.
Screen not visible. Okay, I'll stop and now, ma'am.
No, still not visible.
Okay, let me end the recording so that it will be visible. I think so. 1 minute.